Okay, good. For the record, today is the 9th of November. It's about 3:06 in the afternoon. I'm Professor Jim Carney from Journalism and Media Studies at Lehman. This is a brief presentation on what the independent studies and capstones are and what they are not, and what the purposes of them are. I'm going to do a brief presentation and then answer any questions that you may have and help to clear things up. So first of all, thank you everybody for joining me this afternoon. This is different for the most part from what I'll be doing next week. Next week will be a general introduction session for the entire spring registration. Today is Wednesday, and I believe winter registration opened up today. So you should be able to register for winter classes, and I encourage you to do so if you can. I'll be teaching one class, at least at this point, one class in the break on media ethics for journalism majors. It's a required course. I think it's 220, I want to say 224, 223. Thank you, Tom. Jaron, 223. It'll be a fully online course, and it's an interesting course for people that are just interested in ethics and law in journalism and in media as a whole, because we talk about copyright and whatever, in addition to journalism. So enough of my personal commercials, but a little bit of background about the capstones and why they were started. A lot of colleges, and particularly in graduate schools and master degree programs, and in a lot of undergraduate degree programs, they like to have some sort of culminating experience. A culminating experience essentially is a fancy way of saying they want to have proof by the time you're finished your degree that you actually learned something, and you're able to put that learning to work. Some places actually have exams for majors that in order to complete your degree, you have to take a 1 credit or 3 credit course, which is a summation of the entire major, and then with a big exam at the end. What we do here is the alternative to that, which is common in a lot of schools, and it's called a capstone or a culminating experience. What it's designed to do essentially is to take the things that you've learned in your given area of study, whether it's journalism or media studies or film and television studies, and actually put to the test and prove that you've learned what you were supposed to learn. And that comes in the form of a couple of different things. The two general areas, and there's a lot of differences here that I'll talk about. I'm going to go over them quickly, then I'll go to the PowerPoint presentation and just give you an idea. But it basically consists of an independent study. And there's a couple of different versions of it, but essentially it's an independent study that every major, whether you're film and television, journalism, or media studies, it is a course that you have to take either in your last semester or your next to last semester. It's generally a 3 credit course with the exception of honors, which works out to be 4 credits. And I'll talk to that point in a little while, but it's generally a course that goes into your regular course load, shows up on CUNY first. It is a course that has to be paid for, whether you do it out of pocket or it's part of your financial aid. If you get financial aid, it's covered as a course. And essentially what it is your opportunity to work one-on-one with one of the full-time faculty on a project which demonstrates that you've learned what you set out to learn for your major. and to give you, and this is the most important thing, to give you something that you can graduate with, that when someone asks you, what do you do? Or, well, what did you go to college for? You can simply share the link. You can either, airdrop it to them or put it on a business card and hand it to them. And you say, that's what I learned, that's what I do. Now, what can that link go to? The link can go to many different things. It could be a more traditional independent study, which is a research project, looking in depth to something or some element of your area of study. This is something that's particularly of interest to people that may want to go on to graduate school in an area of study such as personal and interpersonal communications, mass media, media studies in graduate school, and even into some of the professional areas as well. But it can be research at anything from one student right now is working on a paper with me, which is the history of women as they're represented in media, and how it has changed over recent decades, and particularly with digital and electronic media. Other people have done case studies in history about different examples of things in public relations or in journalism, or even in film. Some people in the film studies have done something, doing an in-depth analysis of a particular director or a series of directors. That is an extensive semester-long project. It's not just a one-time 5-page paper. It is anywhere from 20 to 100 pages long, and it's a true research paper, and it's to be done over the course of the entire semester. Don't let that scare you, because if you do work on it on a weekly basis or even a bi-weekly basis, the pages add up and you find that you have a document. So if you want to go to grad school, that can be used as an entry point to get you into graduate school, to prove that you know what you're talking about and what you would contribute when you go to grad school. For the majority of our students in all 3 of our majors, though, it's something a little more concrete. It's an independent study which results in a project that is reflective of what your career goals are. What does that mean? That basically means simply, if you're a journalist and you want to go into journalism, then it could be as simple as a series of in-depth investigative articles that you do over the course of the semester, that are on a particular topic, whether it be the result of the 2022 elections, which just happened yesterday and are actually ongoing, or you're doing something in depth on the development of hip hop in the South Bronx, which is very general, but it's a multimedia presentation. If you're a journal, it could be a series of articles though in that. If you're a film and television studies major, it can be a short film. And no, it can't be a real movie, because there's no way anyone's going to be able to do a 2.5-hour or a 2-hour movie in 3 months, go to school, go to work, and whatever. It can be a short film if you're an FTS major. It can be a script, just simply a script if you're an FTS major. It can be a study of cinema in a particular area if you're a film studies person. If you're a television person, it can be a mini documentary dealing with a particular issue or a particular news, something in the news. So journalism and media and film studies, film and TV studies can be a documentary, okay, because it overlaps in the two. It doesn't have to be, okay? If you're a journalism major, it can be a series of articles. If you're an MCS major and you want to go into public relations, it can be a public relations campaign. It can be a website for a client that you develop. The one thing it has to be is it has to be something that is, quote, in the real world. It can't be a project. You can't do a make-believe business and build a website for it. Or you can't write a bunch of articles about the food in the cafeteria. All right, it's got to be a real journalistic, film studies, TV studies, or multimedia media studies project that at the end of the semester You have something concrete that you can say, this is what I did, this is what I worked on. You want to see what it is, click on this link. And when someone clicks on the link, they go to a YouTube channel and they see a short video, or they go to a website that you developed for a client if you're a multimedia or a media studies major, or it can be a series of articles that you wrote on water pollution in the Bronx, or lead in the drinking water in the Bronx. So it's something specific and something that you take with you that goes into your portfolio. Your portfolio is what you know how to do, whereas your degree or your diploma is what you've been taught. They're two different things. So when you graduate and you do a valid capstone or a good capstone, you have your degree in one hand and you have your capstone project, which is a demonstration of what you know how to do in your other hand. And it makes you much more valuable as a potential student in grad school, or as a potential employee, or in being hired as someone who is a publicist, or being hired as a journalist to write articles, and what have you. So that's essentially what the capstone or independent study is designed to do and designed to be. And everyone has to do one. In addition to all that, in recent years, we've permitted people to do internships as their capstone. All right, and I'll get to that in a moment as well. So let me go to the PowerPoint slides that'll kind of lay this out a little bit. So let me share my screen. Okay. Slideshow, play from the beginning. Okay, everybody should see a white sheet that has at the top of it, independent study and internship capstones. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. The next two lines look really complicated, but if you look at them carefully, they're not. Okay, it depends on your major. If you're an MCS major, then generally you'll do an MCS 481 independent study. If you're a journalism major, you'll do a JRN 481 independent study. And if you're a film and TV studies major, you'll do an FTS 481. That's the regular independent study. The honors is the regular independent study plus. All right, and I'll go into more detail in a little bit. But in addition to doing a regular independent study, you do something extra at the end to add on to that. So everything I'm going to say now applies for both the regular independent study and for the honors capstones. Very briefly, for honors, you have to have a 3.5 index in the major. And that's calculated by taking the courses that are being used. And if you look at DegreeWorks, it's in that section saying whatever your major is. You take all of your grades there, figure out what the GPA is there. And if it's over a 3.5, then you come and ask our permission. One of the advisors in the department, Professor O'Hanlon, myself, or one of the other full-time faculty. And if we give you permission, then you would register for the honors, which is MCS 491 and 492, JRN 491 and 492, and FTS 491 and 492. The regular independent study is 3 credits. The honors is the regular 3 credits plus that 492, which is 1 credit called the colloquium. And again, I'll get to that a little bit later. So everything I'm going to talk about now for the capstone covers all kinds of capstones, all right? First of all, people come and they say, Professor, I want to register for your 481. That's not the way it works. You will not be permitted to register until certain things are in place, okay? First of all, you have to come up with the project. It makes no sense for us to say, well, you want to be in public relations, we're going to get you an internship as a camera person at BronxNet. That doesn't make any sense. It's not what you want to do. So this is something you have to think about, and hopefully you have been thinking about over the course of your studies here at Lehman. So it is a project that you're saying that this is what I would like to have in my portfolio when I graduate. that I could use to get a job or use to go to graduate school, or would prove that I learned something. And like I said, it can be a series of articles, it can be a short film, it can be a script, it can be a short documentary, it can be a website for a client. It can be many, many things. And it's only limited by your imagination and your ability to prove to one of the faculty who would be your mentor that this is something that can be done, and it's something worth doing. So the first step is identify the project that you're proposing to conduct your capstone or the internship. And with the internship that you're accepted for already, and then create a brief abstract outlining the project or the internship, your goals and a timeline. So just to go through that. So you identify the project, your capstone. Is it going to be a website? Is it going to be a short film? Is it going to be a script? Is it going to be a documentary? Is it going to be a podcast? All of these things are possible. Then you pick one of the full-time faculty in the JMS department. They have to be full-time faculty in JMS. So that's in journalism and media studies or in film and TV studies. Right now, that consists of the following people. Professor O'Hanlon, it's myself, it's Professor Markey, it's Professor Ruiz, it's Professor McKenna, it's Professor Scheinheit. Did I say Professor Gonzalez if I didn't say that already? It can be Professor Mackenzie, even though we share her with English, she does work in our department, so it can be her as well. So you have to approach one of those people and say, Professor, this is my idea that I want to do for a capstone. Would you be my advisor for the capstone? And this is well in advance. If you're doing it now for the spring semester, you're already a little bit late, because you should already have that thing in mind, and you should be talking, at least initially, with the person that you want to talk to. Keep in mind that the faculty are limited as to the number of capstones they can take on. So for example, next semester, for example, there are other limitations, by the way. Next semester, Professor Markey is going to be on leave, and she will not be able to take any capstones on. There's a possibility I may also be not available to do capstones as well, which takes me off the table. So you should consider other full-time faculty that you've had taken classes with who relate basically to what you're talking about. They don't have to be a direct linear one-on-one. So for example, Professor Ruiz does a lot of our film studies stuff. So if you're going to do a short film or a short script, we would recommend you work with him, but you could work with any of the other full-time faculty if you want to. You know, keep in mind who in the faculty teach the classes that relate to what you're talking about. Okay, so step one, come up with the idea. Step two, approach one of the full-time faculty. Step three, write an abstract, put it in print, and send it to that faculty member. They will then follow up by getting in touch with them saying, Professor, what did you think? Will you work with me? And what do you think about it? And if they agree to take you on, that's when the registration process starts, and not until then. So if at that point, the professor says, yes, this is a good idea, I have some suggestions, I will take you on as a student for my capstone. At that point, they will request in CUNY First that a specific section and a seat in a specific section be made available just for you. This is important because if you just look in CUNY First and you don't click on unopened, all of the capstones are going to show up as being full or non-existent. That's because of one of two reasons. Number one, every seat that's been created was for an individual, so therefore it's full. Or that person didn't add their capstone into CUNY First yet. So it's a little bit complicated. So once you approach the faculty member and they say yes, they say, please, Professor, create the capstone in CUNY First so I can register and open up a seat for me. And then we will do that. That's then, and only then can you register for the course. So you need to do that as soon as possible. You can register right up until the beginning of classes in the end of January. However, we're limited as to the number of capstones we can take on, and we get full. We will not hold you back from graduating if we don't have a faculty advisor available. We will find one for you. So don't panic about that. It's more important that you give it serious thought as to what you want to do and who you want to work with first. So don't even think about approaching us until you have an idea and a concept in hand. So let me just go to the next page. This is dealing with internships, okay? I said you can do an internship as your capstone. And this is generally not for the honors. This is just for the regular independent study capstone, which is JRN, FTS, or MCS 481. So if you opt to do an internship, again, you have to do some of the legwork to get the internship. We will not say, fine, you're really lucky we got you an internship at Vogue magazine and that you're a guy interested in doing television sports. It's not gonna make sense. So you need to do the legwork to look for internships. They can be as simple and as straightforward as a production internship at BronxNet, but you have to do that early as well to make sure that you get accepted there. They can be at radio and TV stations. They can be at public relations agencies. They can be at advertising firms. They can be in politicians' offices. If you're an MCS major, very often politicians are looking for communication specialists to work with their press secretaries, to write press releases, and to communicate with their constituents. Generally, internships are not as difficult to get as you think they are. It's just that people always go to the same place to try and get that internship. Expand your horizons. It used to be everybody wanted to do an internship at MTV. MTV is one of the worst places to do internship because it's a corporate office. None of the production's done there. You never get to meet any of the music people. And you get you get put in a corner and say, answer the phones and make us coffee. And it's not what you want. So you need to give some thought, the same way you would give a lot of thought into a capstone independent study. You need to give thought into what your internship is. What do you hope to come away from that internship with? Ideally, a job. That's not always possible. But very often the experience you get in an internship, you can put on your resume, and that's your foot in the door to get a job somewhere else. It proves you're responsible, you know how to communicate, maybe you know how to write, maybe you know how to do oral communications and presentations, maybe you know how to do websites and develop websites. So look at the places that are obvious and then look at some of the non-obvious places. Centerforcommunication.org, cencom.org, CEN, Center, CENTER, FORCOMMUNICATION.org is one of the clearinghouses for internships where internships are available. Better still, look at a place that you would like to work. You know, where is there a place that you envision that you would love to work? And then you can just send them an email. Odds are they will accept an internship. So look at those places. Keeping in mind, for example, if you're looking at a place like Channel 41 or at ESPN, they belong to parent organizations. Let's look at Channel 47, for example, is owned by NBC Universal. So you would have to apply through the NBC Universal website for an internship. ESPN is owned by Disney, so you would have to apply through the Disney website. This is the stuff we can help you with. We can give you advice and give you some suggestions on where to look. But you should be looking for your internship definitely now for the spring. It's late for the spring right now, but definitely over the summer. So again, don't come to us asking to register for the internship capstone unless you have your internship in hand. We will not open a seat for you until you have it. Again, we'll help you, but you have to find it yourself. What you do then, once you get it, is you fill out the internship form, which you can get either online, we can send it to you if you request it, or you can get one here at the office. And you write down where the internship is, you sign an agreement outlining the responsibilities, and then permission will be given in CUNY first for the JRN or for the JRN FTS MCS 481 section. That's a typo, 481 section. I believe it will come up as JRN FTS MCS 481 section 1, but make sure, talk to us before you do that. That will be the internship capstone location, right? ELOs are experiential learning opportunities for the capstone requirement, can fulfill any of the 3 majors, all right? So capstones are an option for you to use. If you're planning to create or execute an independent project for 481, or for the honors capstone, identify and approach a full-time person, which is what we said, who teaches in the JMS department, or check out the bulletin board outside of our offices here. Each faculty member has specific areas of expertise and should be considered when approaching a faculty member. Keep in mind that the faculty are not obligated to accept individual projects and are restricted to the number of capstone students that they're permitted to advise, according to the contract that we work under. So submit project abstracts to that faculty member for consideration, and then they will give you permission or they'll steer you towards a different faculty member. Upon acceptance by the faculty advisor, you'll submit a request to open a seat in CUNY first in the appropriate capstone course, either the independent study or the internship capstone course, or the honors. And again, a 3.5 index within the courses of your appropriate major is required for the honors, and it is for 4 credits. That's important, okay? It's a 3 credit plus 1 for the colloquium. And again, I'll mention what the colloquium is in a minute. If you're paying out of pocket, you need to keep that in mind, because that is 3 credits plus 1 credit that you have to pay for. So in addition to having a 3.5 index, it's more expensive if you're paying out of pocket, and it's something to consider. And it's not necessary. You don't have to do the honors even though you qualify. It's a nice thing, and we'll talk with you individually about whether or not it's right for you. And it's not going to, it may not appear in CUNY first. So don't assume only this professor had the 481 or the 491 listed in their courses. That's only because they didn't add it yet. Okay. And again, this is full-time faculty. So people like Professor Dessou or Professor Dominguez or Professor Garakawa are not allowed to do capstones because they are part-time faculty. They're not full-time faculty. Once the course is created, the faculty advisor will grant permission for each specific student to register for the course. The credit obligations for the capstone are the same as any credit-bearing course. You have to pay for it, or you have to arrange your financial aid to cover for that course. Successfully completed capstones or internships are required for graduation in JMS, JRN, or FTS degrees. You have to do one for all 3 of them. Specific questions, you can go to your faculty member. Once again, the honors capstone is it's a 2-course requirement that you have to register for both independently. You register for the 3 credit honors independent study, which is 491, and for the 1 credit colloquium. And again, it's a 3.5 index in the major and department permission. The colloquium varies from project to project. If it is a short film, the colloquium may consist of meeting on a regular basis with other students who are making films on Blackboard or in a Zoom session and having conversations about the process and then writing about it at the end of the semester. So it may be a paper in addition to an extensive paper, basically, instead of just writing the script or writing the or putting together the documentary. If you're making a short film, sometimes I would require the student to have the film placed in a film festival, or it might require creating a promotional campaign, including cutting a trailer and doing a press release and sending out a press release where telling people where they can actually see your film. So it's above and beyond the independent study is what it boils down to. And that is determined specifically by what your capstone is and in which area it is. Okay, so let me come out of here. So in summarizing, the capstone is a course you take in your last semester or next to last semester. It's a regular course in terms of registering and paying for it. But instead of coming to a class every week or logging on every week to a specific class, you meet on a regular basis, sometimes every other week, sometimes less than that, sometimes more than that, with your advisor to find out how you're doing in terms of the project of the capstone. In order to get the capstone, you have to come up with an idea, you have to put it down in paper, and then you have to submit it to one of the full-time faculty and say, will you be my sponsor? Will you be my faculty advisor? And then once they say yes, they will start the process in CUNY First so you can register for it. If you want to do honors, you have to have a 3.5 index in your major, not overall, just in the courses in the major. And this is in the semester prior to when you're registering. So for example, if you're registering for the spring semester and you want to do an honors capstone when registration opens next week, this semester is not included in your GPA. Why? Because you don't have a grade yet. We can only do it based on the grades that you have. So it would be up to last semester that we would figure out the GPA. For internships, you have to come up with the internships. And I have something very special that I'm announcing for the first time here in a minute in regard to internships, which is pretty exciting. It's possibly a little late for the spring semester, but I'll get to that in a minute. Internships can be used for the capstone. Internships are places that you go to work for a certain number of hours. The requirements for an internship, and there's a document that I can put up at the end, are for us to do at least 120 hours over an entire semester. That breaks down to about 8 hours a week. So that's 1 day a week or 2 half days a week over the course of the semester, working at a location, doing the work of that location. If it's a radio station, maybe it's producing a show on the air, working with the producers. If it's a TV station, maybe it's working in the newsroom with the assignment editor, answering phones and helping reporters get their stories ready. If it's working on a political campaign or for a politician, it's going into the office and answering constituent questions, writing press releases, going out with the politician and helping them meet with people and give out information. But it needs to be on an average 8 hours a week. Incidentally, Fashion Week is a big place where people get a lot of internships. The thing with Fashion Week is it leads up, and then for 1 2-week period, there are tons of hours and you have to compact them in. But as long as it's 120 hours, that's all we need. In addition to the 120 hours, by the way, you have to, on a regular basis, contribute to the Blackboard site, saying what you did this week, even if you didn't do anything this week. If it was a holiday, you didn't go in, that's what you put down, so that we have a log. Okay, that's your log of what you do, and we know that you're going to your internship. And then finally, a 5-page paper at the end of the semester summarizing your experience. And then in addition to that, your supervisor at your location has to fill out a form. So requirements for internship, 120 hours overall, weekly or bi-weekly updates, depending on who your advisor is, to Blackboard, talking about what you worked on this week, a 5-page paper at the end, and then finally, sort of like a report card we get from your supervisor. Based on that, you get a grade. For all of this, by the way, you get a letter grade, A, B, C, D, or F, depending on how you do. So those are the capstones. When registration opens, there are no capstones offered in the winter session. It's not long enough. When the sessions open, when CUNY first opens in a week from today, there probably will be a couple of professors who have capstones limited, but they'll be full. That's because there are 0 seats because no one has given a proposal yet. Now the big announcement. We just found out like 2 weeks ago that the School of Arts and Humanities here at Lehman College has been given a grant by CUNY to hire 2 people whose job it is to do nothing but find, assist, and facilitate internships for students in the Arts and Humanities School, which includes our 3 majors. And that's, that's really nice. That's really great, but it gets even better. These 2 people that are going to be hired and will hopefully be on staff by the end of January, or at the very least in February, are to get paid internships. They're to go out, find companies that offer internships that not only offer credit, but also pay their interns. It might be minimum wage, but that's $17 an hour. It might be $20 an hour. It might be a set flat rate. It varies. Now, this is going to be happening in the spring semester. So if you're graduating in May, it's probably a little late for that. If you're graduating after the summer, we probably will be able to work with you to get a paid internship in the summer. So if you're planning on taking summer courses and graduating in September, which means you can still walk in May, but you finish your internship and your other classes in the summer, then we may be able to help you with that. So again, this is a brand new initiative. It just is starting up this week. I was given permission by the dean to tell you about this. And in order to do this, we need names. If you are going to be doing your internship in the summer or afterwards, so either in the summer session of 23 or the fall of 23 or later, okay? If you're not graduating until after that, and you're doing your capstone internship then, we definitely want to have your name, because we need to have a certain number of names ready to go when we start up with this entirely new department. It's going to be like a mini department that's going to work out of English, but it's going to be working for us in journalism and media studies as well. So if you're going to be doing your capstone after May and you're interested in getting assistance in getting a paid internship, I don't know why you would not be interested in that. Please email, and actually, Tom, I have a question here. Is the JMS email address operational right now? I don't think it is.
We were in the process of updating it. We had one from years ago that went dormant, and we are working on that as we speak with some of our IT people. So so we don't have one right now, but we're working on it.
Okay.
I would urge students, though, don't use it for general inquiries where you want a course permission or you want something and you just throw an airball out there to whoever you might say and say, well, I sent an email. I'd reserve it for very special reasons.
Okay, what we can do in the interim, all right, we'll probably set up a separate, distinct poll in maybe in Teams or even in Google, or set up some sort of a document where people can sign up. And I'll have that hopefully done by the end of this week, so people can sign up. In the meanwhile, if you want to send me an email, send me an email, okay? james.carney@lehman.cuny.edu. And in the subject line, put for paid internship. And I will take those emails, I'll put them in one folder, and as soon as we have a place to start collecting these names for real, I'll move them all over to there. And there will be an announcement. So again, if you are interested in an internship, you're going to be doing the internship in the summer of 23 or later, and you're interested in paid internships, send me that email, and in the subject line, say interested in paid internship or paid internship interest, something like that. And that way I'll know to take those and sweep them in a particular folder. So this is a pretty exciting thing. I think there's only one other school in all of the CUNY colleges. When I say school, arts and humanities is a school, nursing is a school, social sciences is a school, natural sciences is a school in the College of Lehman in CUNY, which is a university. There's only like 2 or 3 individual schools within the entire university that won this grant. This is based on a grant. And it's being done as a test, and you guys will be the ones that will be able to take advantage of this. Again, assuming you're not graduating. All right, I'm running out of gas now. It is almost 10. Let's take 10 minutes of questions. You can either throw them into the chat or you can raise your hand virtually. And if they can be general questions, that would be great. And then we can set up one-on-one conversations with professors. One of the things I will point out again to Professor Markey is not available for Capstones next semester or the fall semester. She will be on leave writing a book. Professor Jonah Bruckner Cohen is also on leave next semester. Is he back in the spring, Tom? Jonah is back on.
He will be. He's out for the whole year, so he's out now, and he's out in the spring working on this project.
So Brucker Cohen and Markey are not available. I may be limited to the number of ones that I can do, and I usually focus on media studies, which is like public relations and things like that. But I also can do journalism, and I can do all the others. But right now, I'm not taking any new people on right now until I get some additional guidance on my own particular situation in terms of teaching. So think about who you would like to work for, and don't only pick one, pick a couple, and get different opinions. And they may suggest other professors that might want to work with you. If you're doing the internship is one specific class. It's going to show up as one section. If you're going to do the internship, you don't have to pick a faculty member. There will be one of us overseeing that. Usually it's me. It may be someone else next semester, but the internship again is separate. You don't have to pick a faculty member, but you do have to find your internship. Okay, Tyler, you have a question.
Yes. My question is that I remember you mentioned that our capstone is basically what we want to do in terms of our career or leading up to it.
Yes.
So,
go ahead. You muted again by accident, I think there.
and if so, the person who I want to do it with, he is in the film. He's a professor in film. Is that possible?
Okay, there was something wrong with the audio. I lost the first part of your question. You said something the professor is in film. Are they a JMS professor?
I believe so, yes.
The Professor Ruiz, Professor Gonzalez?
It's Professor Castellano, Stephen Castellano.
No, unfortunately, it can't be with Professor Castellano because he is an adjunct. He works full-time at Lehman, but because he doesn't work full-time as a professor, he can't do capstones. So that's unfortunate.
I see.
And I didn't make these rules, and Professor Hanlon didn't make these rules. We're trying to change these rules, but for now we're stuck with them. So if it's an audio project, there are other professors you could work with. If I'm available, you could work with me. Professor O'Hanlon, obviously, News Radio 880 on the 8s. He knows radio inside out. I'm not volunteering you, Professor O'Hanlon, but you have that experience. And the other professors have dealt with it. Professor Markey has. She's not going to be here. Other professors are. But don't worry about getting stuck and not having a faculty advisor. We will not hold you back because there was no faculty advisor available. But think of the people that you
Okay.
could work with and reach out to them, even with a rough idea. You can ask them informally before you give them a proposal. Reach out to them as soon as you can.
Okay. No
Okay.
problem. Thank you.
All right. So Octavia, let's see. Let me get my glasses here so I can read. Where can I find the recording for this again? I never told you. You'll be able to find the recording. I will send it out in a list through the listserv. It'll be on my YouTube channel and probably on the department's YouTube channel. So you'll be able to access that. We're still recording. So I also will be doing a general orientation session next Wednesday. Professor O'Hanlon, I'm not sure if you'll be with us, but some of the other faculty and Lisette Diaz, I think, may be with us. You can come back and we can cover some of this material, but that's more of a general session. And you can send us emails and you can ask. The purpose of this session is to get as many of the general questions out of the way and allow people to get started. So Zainab, you have a question?
Hi, sorry I'm late, but I remember I sent you an email previously asking you about the requirements that I would need to do for my internship.
I remember you sent me something, but what was your questions?
Well, currently I'm on site right now for my internship, so I just wanted to know, one, how do I communicate that I'm currently doing an internship? Do I have to sign up
Okay,
for the
if you're-
class?
Okay, if it's going to extend through into the next semester, then it could be considered for a capstone. If you're going to be finished by the end of the semester, it's too late. You should have requested
Oh no,
that.
there's no end date
Okay,
that I see.
then it is. And is it related to one of the fields of study and one of the areas that, is it
Oh, yeah.
immediate related?
Yeah,
is?
I run the social media for this community center.
Okay, then yes, you can. What you would do is you would do a short abstract saying, what you would be doing next semester, even if it's a continuation of what you're doing now, what you would hope to get out of it, where it's being done, and just submit it. One page is all you need, and then submit it to one of the faculty members that you're comfortable working with, who can oversee your work during the course of the semester as an intern at that place. You would do weekly updates onto Blackboard, and then at the end of the semester, write a short paper, and your supervisor at that firm would write a one sheet, attendance, works well with others, shares their toys, that sort of thing, sort of form that you would get graded on. So the answer is yes.
Okay, so then how would I register for it right now? Or do I just have to wait till next semester?
I have to confirm that, but I think the section of, let me look real quickly here. I think it's right now, it's under my name on FTS 481. Let me just see what section number it is. So you should be able to see it now under my name. And if you click, unclick show open courses only, it's a double negative, so it's confusing. Unclick where it says only show open courses, because it's going to show 0 seats in it. That's because I haven't accepted anybody yet. So as soon as registration opens, send whoever it is, if it's me that's listed as the professor in there, send me an email and attach the form or a photo of the form or a PDF of the form filled out, and then I or the professor will give you permission to register for that 3-credit course.
A form? What form?
The form that you can either get by coming by the office or send an email to me requesting that the form be sent to you. I'll show you what it looks like here. And actually, can I make it? It is available. I think it's available, Tom, at the website. the internship form, I think, is available at
Yeah,
the
sorry about that. Somebody interrupted me with a phone call.
the
I'm looking
JMS
for it
form.
now.
Yeah, if you could just double check, I think it's available on the JMS website. You can actually send me an email. I'll attach it and send it back to you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Belite.
Hi. So you mentioned earlier that capstones aren't available in the winter session,
No, they're not. They are
but you
not
went
available.
over that we can do a summer internship. Can we use that for the fall? In that case?
Yes. Okay. Winter is not. That I said winter, you cannot do a capstone because it's not long enough. You can't do an internship. You can start it and make it run into the spring semester. That's fine. But you can't take, that's why we don't offer it as a class. We don't offer it as a class in the winter session.
But it would be okay in the summer session.
In the summer session, yes, you could do it
Okay.
as a summer session.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We've historically been doing that because we allow internships, particularly if it's an internship, then most definitely, yes. Okay. Freya Vasquez.
Hey, professors. I wanted to ask, what happens if the professor that you want to work with on your capstone is not available and you're planning on writing a script and not partaking in an internship? How does that work for a student?
You have to find another faculty member.
And if there's no one available, what happens?
We will find one for you.
Okay, wonderful. So I would not graduate because a faculty member was not available.
That's correct.
Okay,
We would
cool.
not prevent you from graduating just because someone's on leave or and if people are on leave, the others get overloaded. That's
Okay.
the part that we're trying to get changed, and that's why we hate this,
Okay.
because there's only a limited number they allow us to do capstones with. So our apologies for that, but that's why the sooner you can do it, the better.
Okay, cool. I'm planning on doing it spring term. And then I had like, how long does a script need to be in order for it to like?
You need to discuss that with your faculty advisor.
Oh, the faculty advisor.
If it is going to be like a script for a film that is full of dialogue, it's going to have to be hundreds of pages.
Okay.
If it is something that is more visually oriented, then it would be less than that. And you and the faculty advisor who has expertise in film and in film writing would be the ones that would make it. They would give you a guidance, and that's why over the course of a semester, if and that's why specific page number limitations don't really work.
Yeah.
So and scripts now are no longer technically only on paper.
Right.
So the correct answer in all of my classes, no matter what the question is, for all of my classes that I teach, is it depends.
Okay, wonderful. I'll take it.
The answer is it depends.
All right, sweet. So
Okay.
I'll hopefully connect with my faculty member.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Let's do that. Okay. Zainab, do you have another question, or you just didn't put your hand down?
I just didn't put my hand
Okay.
down, sorry.
Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. If you do come up with other questions, you can feel free to send us an email. Ask the professors in your classes, particularly the full-time ones.
There's a question in the chat.
Yes,
There's a question in the chat. That's why.
in the chat. Oh, thank you. How early? You should send it yesterday. Okay, as early as you can, because we do get filled up. So yes, no, that's the answer to that. As quickly as you can, and particularly for working on a capstone, because you should be gearing up towards that during winter session and getting things in place. And Aris Smiley says, if I'm majoring in media and communications, can I do capstone project in JRN or FTS? Yes, because the majors overlap. So for example, if you're in media and communications, maybe you want to be a journalist, in which case maybe writing some articles would be a good solution to that. Or if you want to do a documentary based on an issue that you feel passionate about, and depending on what you want to do with your degree, you may want to make a short documentary. Or maybe you want to produce a video for the website of a client, that if you want to go into public relations or into marketing and advertising, you may want to produce a video for the website of a client. So the answer is yes, it can be, there can be overlap. That doesn't mean though that you have to go to the JRN faculty person to oversee it, because anyone who's doing FTS would know what a good, for example, like an article written for a public relations purpose, a well-written article is technically an article, but it's being written for PR and for marketing purposes. So the marketing professor would be a good person. But again, we all overlap, so don't worry too much about that. Professor O'Hanley, you had something to add?
Thank you, Professor Carney. Yeah, I wanted to pass along to everybody. Keep in mind that email is a very valuable tool, but it is not a replacement for conversation. You know, you would not start a relationship or a professional or even personal relationship just based on email. So if you're working on a project, don't send somebody 14 paragraphs and say, what do you think? You know, make arrangements to speak with the professor. You know, the email is great for, okay, see you at 2, but not for, here's my project, sit down, stop what you're doing and write me a book in response to what I sent to you. So I'm offering that just as friendly advice. Have a conversation, because it isn't like going to an ATM and a simple transaction. You're having a discussion. So please keep it in mind. Make yourself visible so everybody can see the interesting person that you are, and then ask you questions. Okay.
Consider it a collaboration, and a collaboration has to be a dialogue. And an email is not the only way of conducting dialogues, and it's far from the best way of doing it. So, and we have many ways of doing it these days. So unless there are any other questions, we've gone over, well, just about an hour, which is good. This has been recorded, so I will make the recording available via YouTube. We will send out on the listserv. If you are not on the listserv, you need to send your email address into the department and ask to be added to the listserv. If you're not getting emails from the department, I guess they should contact Lisette. Tom, would that be the right thing to do?
I'm sorry, I got another distraction. One more time?
No, my question is for students that are not on the listserv that need to get on it, who should they contact?
Yes, they can email Lisette and me, and you know, just say that you'd like to be on the listserv.
Right. So it's lisette.diaz@lehman.cuny.edu. So it's lisette.diaz. Again, keeping in mind, all of the faculty and staff are not LC. We are at Lehman. We are not at LC. So it's at lehman.cuny.edu. All right, majoring. I think that's it. I don't see any more questions in the chat. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming. Some of you I will see in class tomorrow. Some of you I will possibly see in class next week, or maybe see you again for the general advising. And again, opening for spring semester registration begins next Wednesday. I urge you to not wait, because we're short-staffed this coming semester. So we're not going to be able to add a lot of classes. So you should register as soon as you possibly can. So with that, I want to thank everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy what's left of the daylight and stay warm. And I'll see everybody around. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Professor.
afternoon.